So here on the channel, I've given quite a bit of coverage to the transfer portal, whether that be the transfer portal's very existence, players entering, players exiting, what have you. But today, we're going to have another conversation revolving the transfer portal, and it's going to be centered around Lincoln Riley's comments about the portal. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, Y for yes, N for no. Are you surprised about Lincoln Riley's comments revolving the transfer portal? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and if you enjoy the content, like and comment down below. Those interactions are truly massive to content creators such as myself in both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, let's jump right into this. Because last week, Lincoln Riley was saying that he felt that guardrails needed to be put up around the transfer portal to create bright lines of what's allowed and what's not allowed. And I talked about it briefly in a video and then very briefly in a live stream, but if you missed it, here's a quick synopsis. If I was to blank out the name of who said the statement, I think many college football fans would actually agree with the statement that guardrails need to be put up around the transfer portal. It's my opinion that the transfer portal is a net positive. Players having some sort of freedom is a net positive, but that doesn't mean that I think it's perfect in its existence right now. I think it could be better, and I think that an indication of that is when you see how many players are in the transfer portal without a home, right? The transfer portal was meant to create opportunity, not to take opportunity away, and I'm certainly not saying it's doing that, but when you see the number of players in the transfer portal, it certainly makes you think. But whenever Lincoln Riley said that, like I said, if I blank out the name, I think the vast majority of college football fans agree with the message about guardrails around the transfer portal. But one thing that is important is that sometimes the messenger is just as important as the message. And in this case, Lincoln Riley was not the messenger, because Lincoln Riley was able to get a haul through the transfer portal, whether that be in-conference talent in the Pac-12 through Travis Dye, or players from his former team in Oklahoma hitting the transfer portal and transferring to USC. And the intriguing thing about it is it was just a year ago where Lincoln Riley was wary of the transfer portal, stating that the portal's very existence could lead to tampering in the sense that because the portal existed, a player could be lured to enter the portal. Therefore, they could be recruited by other institutions. So whenever you have that take from a year ago about Riley being so against in-conference transfers, then him being weary about tampering within the portal, it's just very interesting that we fast forward to a year. He's utilized the transfer portal in the way that he has. And look, we've seen what Mel Tucker did. We've seen what the transfer portal allows and how it can allow a team to hit the ground running. And whenever you're Lincoln Riley and you're not taking over the quote-unquote best situation, the transfer portal can be of massive help to how you can hit the ground running. But it does dilute the message when you are the messenger. But yesterday, Lincoln Riley was talking that he didn't get players from Oklahoma, he got players from the transfer portal. And I wanted to bring up his statements from a year ago because it kind of reminds me of what he said yesterday. A year ago, he was weary of the existence of the transfer portal and how its very nature could allow for a player to be lured into the transfer portal to then be recruited. And look, even the statement he didn't recruit players from Oklahoma, he recruited them from the transfer portal, is one that's been met by pushback. It's not my place to say what's what, but at the end of the day, it is an intriguing statement coming from Lincoln Riley. Once again, I think when we blank out the name, a lot of people would agree with the message, but the messenger matters. In life, if you have the wrong messenger, the message gets completely and utterly diluted, and I think that's exactly what's happening right here. And like I said, guardrails probably should be put in place, but you can't be the one saying that when you were just the coach that left OU for USC, and then the star quarterback for OU enters the transfer portal and ends up at USC. It's just not the right look. But at the end of the day, the transfer portal is an intriguing part of college football, and it's not going anywhere. Whether guardrails are put up or it naturally sorts itself out remains to be seen. But the transfer portal, for all of its negatives, does have intrinsic positive value. We saw that through Michigan State. We've seen that through individuals who may not have been afforded the best opportunity in their current circumstances be able to utilize the transfer portal and massively increase their draft stock. A name that I talk about constantly is Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams was wide receiver 4 or 5, depending on where you look, at Ohio State, comes to Alabama and sets college football on fire. And that's an example of why the transfer portal is a net positive. You can have an individual that is so talented but may not be able to capitalize on the opportunities for whatever reason, but once they hit a change of scenery, it can be a massive net positive. For the players that left the Alabama Crimson Tide and entered the transfer portal, I hope that a change of scenery is a major net positive for them, because at the end of the day, I like seeing people be able to achieve their dreams, to be able to achieve what they've worked so hard for. That's kind of one of the things that led me to start this channel, is that I thought sports were full of stories that needed to be told, of personal triumph, of dedication, and the ability to adapt, all qualities that are very valuable in day-to-day life, whether you are a fan of sports or not. But that's a big reason why I am sitting here right now and why I am as obsessed with this as I am. And the transfer portal only can add into that. Not that it's constantly used such as that, but it can only add into the positivity surrounding college football. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I do find it ironic that Lincoln Riley a week ago is saying that guardrails need to be put up around the transfer portal, a statement I think many people would agree with. We fast forward to yesterday and he's saying that, well, we didn't get players from Oklahoma, we got players from the transfer portal. Sure, that's true, but there can also be deeper implications behind that, and those are the same implications that Lincoln Riley was warning about not a year ago. So like I said, for the last time, sometimes the messenger is just as important as the message, right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just life, and Lincoln Riley was not the right messenger. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this, because I'm very interested in the transfer portal in its entirety, whether that be players entering, players exiting, and this is only adding to the intrigue surrounding the transfer portal, so you know I'm loving it, but I'm very interested in hearing from you. That's it. See ya.